Hello, and welcome to the Rock Live. My name is Marika, and it's so happy that you have joined us today. Love seeing the comments come through. Hello, Ruth and Vern. So glad that you guys are joining us today. And Pastor Louisa watching from home. So good of you guys to join us. And make sure, guys, that you are say hello in the comments to someone. We want to have a bit of community in our comment section. So make sure that you say hello. Let us know who you're watching with, or I don't know, let us know what you had for breakfast. I don't know, just have a little bit of a conversation, guys. Be thinking about who you can invite to church as well. And maybe that's like right now shooting off the link to someone, or maybe that's sending the link to someone during the week, or inviting someone to our physical Sunday next week. But let's be making sure that we're inviting people to church, because church is to be enjoyed with our friends and our family. So let's be inviting people. So here at The Rock, since COVID kind of started, we've been trying to celebrate the people in our church, and by having Legends of the Week. So this week's legend is the wonderful Margie Briggs. Woo-hoo-hoo! We love you, Margie. So for those who don't know, Margie has been doing some cleaning for us here at The Rock, cleaning our buildings and stuff. We just want to say, Margie, we love you. You're wonderful. You're a legend, and we so appreciate everything that you're doing around here. So thank you so much. So I hope that you've been enjoying our new rhythms of how we're doing church. So we have been meeting online, and then the next week in person, physically here at the building. And so we're going to be continuing that until the end of the year. And if at all you get confused about when we're online or when we're going to be in the building, just make sure that you jump onto the website or onto our Facebook page, and the list of dates and where we are is all on there. So if in doubt about where church is, what we're doing, check the website, all right? And I really hope that you've been enjoying our new series. So we've been doing a series called Getting Real with Yourself. No, what's it called? Stop Pretending, Getting Real with Yourself. Sorry, guys. And it's just all about, looking after our emotional health and getting to know ourselves better and getting to know God better as well. And if you want to go deeper in what we've been talking about, we're going to have a emotional healthy spirituality course. I know it sounds a little bit like, ooh, but don't be scared, guys. It's a really good course. I've done it. A group of us have already done it, and we've all loved it. It's been really impacting. So if you would like to dive deeper into that, we're going to hold another workshop. So we're going to watch a little promo first, and then we'll come back to me. So let's watch it. Really enjoyed the EHS workshop, going on this journey of trying to understand my emotions and how they affect me, and that they're actually not a bad thing as well. So it's kind of opened up this whole world, like a Pandora's box or whatever.
It's been great to really build a connection with some other guys, and just being able to understand even why I feel this way, or I can really now sit down with my parents and learn from what they've done in the past and understand how that affects me and why it affects me.
There are things in our lives that neither of us really knew, but as we did the workshop and we look back, we learnt quite a bit about each other that we hadn't previously known. And a lot of who I have been, I've seen why I have been.
I normally tend to ignore my emotions, I think. I just breeze past it, so it's been good to know that I should actually not just ignore them and stuff them away.
I think it makes you go a bit deeper. It makes you dig a bit deeper in a sense. If I'm feeling sad, why am I feeling sad? Or if I'm angry, why am I angry? What is actually the root problem of it all?
The workshop's been amazing. We've done, we've been looking at Sabbath, the importance of limits, of rhythms in our life, of going through the wall of, emotional heartache and challenges. And what I've really enjoyed is the fact that it's not just about the workshop, it's so much more than that.
I'd say it's challenging. I don't think it's easy. If you really want to get something out of it, you've got to go deep. You can't just do surface level stuff, but you've got to really look at what's going on in your life.
It's a matter of learning, but it's also a matter of unlearning. And not all the things that we have learned, although they've been very good for their time, they're not really applicable for now.
It's good because it's a short course as well, so for me that's great. You can keep your attention in it. It's only 8 weeks, 9 weeks, so it's really easy to retain, and it's really easy to apply to your life. It makes such a big difference.
I would totally recommend this workshop. I think everybody should do this because I think, like, well, why wouldn't you want to be a better person and understand yourself better?
It's going to help me be a better husband, better son, a better leader.
For me, it's changing my marriage, it's changing my friendships, changing my life, and I think you'd be a sucker not to do it.
Give it a go.
Well, I think they should do it because, as well as anything else, they will learn about themselves, learn who they are, what they are, and where they're going. At whatever age, I'm sure that there's always something that somebody would get out if they're willing to learn.
Yeah, guys, so I cannot encourage you enough to get on board with the EHS workshop. It's honestly an incredible workshop, very impacting, and it's really changed how you, if you put the effort into it, it will really change how you do relationships and how I guess even you understand yourself and your relationship with God too. So if at all you're feeling a little bit on the fence, like, oh, should I do it? Should I not do it? Just do it. You will not regret it, all right? So with that, so registrations for that are open until next Sunday. So you can jump online onto our website and you can register there. Or next Sunday, you can register here at church, and we'll have someone on the desk that they can register you. So make sure you do that. We just need to know like numbers so we can order books and stuff for you. So yeah, 1 more week left to register. Don't miss out, guys. Get on board. You're going to love it. It's going to be awesome. Some of the other things that you can do on our website is submit a prayer request. So we here at The Rock love to pray for you. So you can just jump on the website, and it's like, it honestly takes a couple minutes to do. Like, you just type in a few details and then your prayer request, and then it just comes to us and we will pray for you. And we absolutely love standing with you in faith, praying for you. So make sure that you do that, because we all have something we need prayer for, or we all know someone who needs prayer. So let's make sure that we're putting our prayer requests in. And the other thing that we can do on the website is to give financially. And I was thinking about our value that we have here at The Rock about generosity. And we say to be a generation of givers, not takers. And that's what this is. It's an opportunity for us to be a generation of givers, not takers. We have been given so much, so it's an opportunity for us to give back to God, give back to His church. So just want to encourage you guys with that. Today, let's be a generation of givers, all right? And let's give cheerfully and with expectation that it's going to make a difference, all right? So I'm going to pray, and then we're going to move on. All right. So Father, thank you for today. Thank you for this beautiful, beautiful Sunday. Thank you that we can come together and we can do church online, and we can, have community still. And God, I just pray for this conversation that we're going to listen to today. I just pray that it's going to be revelations of you, and that it'll be something that we can carry into our week. So we thank you and we love you. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. So we're going to continue on with our new series, Stop Pretending, Getting Real with Yourself, and we're going to hear an awesome, incredible conversation from our very own Dylan Hesp and his mum, Di Hesp, which is going to be so cool. I've heard good things about it, so it's going to be awesome. And then, before that, we are going to watch a little video about someone who has impacted my life like so much. We're going to watch a little video that Dylan Hesp and Isaac De Bruin put together about my dad, Sir Henk Brandsma. So let's enjoy this.
Wow, great, we're over here. And yeah, you're sort of in a small village or town, you know everybody basically. My name is Hank. I'm a supermarket owner. I bought this business on the 4th of July 1988, so we're nearly up 32 years. Yeah, moving to Penguin was one of the best moves we've done, my wife and I together. We love this community. It's just a great community to be in a beautiful spot. Serving the Penguin community is just, it's something it's just a nice thing to do in a small community. I come from a small community myself where I worked in the supermarkets, in different supermarkets, and that was always one of the main things that you always made sure that you were there for the customers. The people are great around here, and yeah, you're sort of in a small village or town, you know everybody basically. The people that had kids when I moved here, those kids are having kids again now, so we're going into a new generation again, and yeah, it's just really nice to see. It's important in my business that we can move forward, in that you keep your head above the water, but also that you can be in the community, love on the community, help them out, and do whatever is necessary.
Good morning, church. Great to be here. My name's Dylan, and here for a very special conversation today that I am very excited about because I have a very special guest with me today on The Rock Live. It is my mum, Diane.
Hi, Rock. It's good to be here.
Thank you for being here, Mum.
That's okay.
It's very exciting. And today we're going to be having a great conversation, which I hope you really enjoy. And we're having these conversations all the time on The Rock Live as we're trying to understand what we're feeling, why we're feeling it, and then what we do with that as a part of our new series, Stop Pretending, Getting Real with Ourselves. So today, Mum and I, we're going to have a great conversation. Mum, you have an amazing story, and we're going to have a bit of a chat. So thank you for being prepared to chat with me.
Yep, that's all good.
It's a bit different to us just chatting at your house, isn't it?
Yeah, just a little bit. Knowing there's cameras.
Yeah, there's more cameras than at your house, that's for sure. Right. Well, thanks for doing this, Mum. So part of the reason I asked you to do this is because we've been talking at the moment about kind of understanding your family of origin and understanding how the past impacts the future. And part of the reason I wanted to chat with you is because by unpacking this stuff, I've actually come to appreciate you and Dad more and more, because all throughout my childhood, I felt like you would always tell me little bits about your childhood and about your life and different things. And I think I've been particularly blown away by how much work you and Dad have done in your lives to be more mature so that you could probably be the parents that we needed to be, and that we needed you to be, meaning me and my sister. So I think I was just really impacted by that, and I was quite excited to chat to you and hear a bit more about your story and I guess how you have learnt to kind of understand the past's impact on the future and how you've dealt with it. But tell me a little bit about growing up. So I know a bit, but so you grew up in Sydney?
Yeah, I grew up in Sydney. My parents divorced actually when I was young, so only 8. So for most of growing up, it was just my mum and my sister and I, so the three of us. But we had a lot of fun. My sister loved animals and was always bringing animals.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, bringing animals home from the pet shops.
Like what kind of animals?
We had mice and we had guinea pigs, and at one stage we had a sheep which turned into a ram.
What, like you didn't know it was a dude?
No. Mum had to hang out the washing with like a wooden peg box behind her butt so that the ram wouldn't, got a bit vicious. So we had some fun times, and my grandparents had a beach house, holiday house. So there's lots of good memories from going there, like with extended family.
So for you, growing up with your sister and your mum, and not so much with the dad, what were the blessings of like what you've picked up from your family? Like if you look back on who you are today, what are some of the great things that you picked up from your mum and your childhood in who you are?
Well, I think family, because like we were pretty tight, the three of us, and we still are to this day. Just the importance of family, I think, and having each other, respecting each other, looking out for each other. Yeah, that was pretty strong.
Yeah, that's awesome. Because I think like one of the things we talk about is like really like as far as families go, like we are impacted by our families like even like hundreds of years ago, like because like all the things that we experience like shape who we are and then shape who we are as parents and then as kids and stuff like that. So we kind of see it as almost like you're standing on the shoulders of your parents. So it's not necessarily like you're like, oh man, mum like stuffed up, or like it's not like that.
No.
But like even like for me, when I think back on you and Dad and my childhood, it was great. But without a doubt, because you're not perfect, there are things.
Oh, there are plenty of mistakes.
So there are definitely now things I do, you know, because of that. So whenever, you know, I commit a lot of arson or graffiti, it's all your fault. So. So I guess, you know, it's always interesting to kind of think about that kind of stuff. And one of the things that we've been kind of unpacking a little bit at church is, you know, what were kind of the, I guess, unspoken rules growing up. And like, because I think, you know, we had some too. But like for you as a kid, were there things that you picked up or learnt about life? Like, you know, like things like conflict or relationships? What did that kind of stuff look like in your house?
I can't remember specifically, like addressing conflict. I can't recall that being a thing, so I don't know if that's right or wrong. I think for me, an unspoken thing was probably because we were like a divorced family as such, and that was sort of back in the 60s, I guess, when I was little. So that was rare, like it's not rare nowadays, but then it was. And I can remember, you know, missing out on being invited to things because my parents were divorced, so there was a bit of a stigma attached to that. So I think because of that, there was, and this is probably just something I put on myself, like I don't think it came from my family at all, but just to want to do the right thing and be seen to do the right thing.
Yeah.
So I had a very strong, like not wanting to let my mum down, I think, because being a single parent in those days was really hard. Like there wasn't any, you know, sort of Centrelink or any financial support, and so she had to go out to work to support my sister and I. Not that she ever said anything, but I think for me, it was just a sense of, well, it's my responsibility to respond to that, you know, by
so
helping and doing the right thing. Yeah.
So like when you're at school and you're at places, you're thinking about that you're representing the family and you're representing your mum and stuff? Or?
I was always very responsible. Even when I was little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did you, because obviously like so much of kind of what we've been unpacking is about like how did you figure out that that's what you were doing? Because it's not like when you're 16 you're going, I am doing Girl Guides to uphold the honour of my family. Like, how did you figure out that was something that happened?
So when did it become like a conscious?
Yeah, like when were you able to reflect on it? How were you able to reflect on it?
I suppose that came much later in life when I started to do some sort of recovery courses and, you know, look at family of origin, look at patterns and where do those patterns emerge. And so it was probably, as a much older person.
Well, sometimes it takes time, doesn't it? And like, unless you, so, you know, like we kind of keep talking about, like you can be in church for a long time and you can know God, but that doesn't mean you've worked out that stuff about yourself, and you kind of, your spirituality is kind of limited by not doing that work. But it's hard unless you have an experience where you get to kind of figure it out, I guess. So being like, you know, it was the three of you, that was the family thing, without kind of, I don't know, like what was that like? Just you three girls?
Well, I guess that was mostly just what I knew, because I was still quite young, I guess, sort of the last time I saw my father. So some of the memories are a bit sort of blurred around that. So I guess it's, but then like my sister's 6 years older and she sort of started dating young as well. So I guess then for a period, really it was just mum and I. And my sister married young as well. I think she was 19 when she got married. So.
So were there, like obviously kind of what you were saying before, but like were there unhealthy things in your maturity? Like were there unhealthy emotional things that you did as a young person, or in those
I
situations?
think in terms of family, I think I took on, and again, this isn't, Mum didn't put this on me. It was just something I took on myself, but I had a very strong sense of protecting her, which is crazy because she's a very strong, resilient woman.
Yeah,
and
heck yeah.
and so not vulnerable in any way.
She watches like R-rated movies.
Yeah, I don't watch.
Unlike you.
I don't watch what she watches. Yeah, no, she's a very strong person. So I don't know why I thought that I needed to do that or how that would be helpful or whatever. But there are, I can still remember certain instances where I've sort of went into bat for her. So, yeah, it's an interesting
So why do you think you felt that?
concept.
Was it because of your understanding of your dad or men or?
No, I think it's more sort of who I am, maybe, because I'm that sort of, responsible, wanting to do the right thing. Helping is very strong for me. So I think I thought I was, and doing the right thing. We're back to that again, aren't we?
Yeah. Oh, totally. So what, because obviously I found it interesting because as a kid, it took a while before I kind of realised that you didn't know your dad. Do you know what I mean? Because you don't really think about it. You're like, well, there was a grandpa, like grandma's the following husband. So how old were you when Dad left the picture, and what was that like?
Well, as I recall, I don't know if this is historically accurate, but as I recall, I have it as a memory. It's sitting around 8 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I used to visit my dad, probably, like weekend visits. I don't know how often it was, whether it was weekly, fortnightly, I can't remember. But he lived like with his mum, so my nana. So when I went to visit, I would visit at my nana's.
Yeah.
And one visit I came home and just told my mum that I wasn't going back. Yeah. So Mum doesn't know and I don't know why that is or what prompted that. Like it could be just as simple as, like I remember when my dad left, he took all our furniture, so he left Mum with nothing in the house. And we had a mauve couch.
Oh, mauve.
Yeah, or purple, whatever it was, in the 60s. And when I went to visit at Nana's, she had the couch. And I remember thinking, I just remember thinking at that time, why does Nana have
as an
couch?
8-year-old especially, that's very confusing.
Yeah, so I obviously had, a strong sense of justice and, so I don't know whether, they might have said something about Mum, whether it was the couch, whether I didn't feel safe. I don't know.
Yeah.
But, it's a pretty big decision to make as an 8-year-old.
Was your dad a dangerous person or?
He had mental health issues.
Yeah.
So he, I was never at risk, really. And I don't understand, because I was little, I don't understand all around that. But yeah, he certainly had mental health issues which impacted who he was. So yeah, he could be unstable at times, for sure, yeah.
So he kind of literally just one day you just came home and he was gone and just everything in your house was gone?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So how do you, I can't even imagine, how does that shape how you see guys or men or what's it like not having a dad?
Well, yeah, not having a dad, I suppose growing up I didn't really realise.
Yeah.
I think it hit me more like when my daughter turned 8 and I looked at her with her father. I think that was it was sort of like a aha moment. I was sort of like, whoa, I could see what he was providing in her life and what she needed. and so I didn't have that. So that was hard. I think too, it leaves a gap in terms of like relating to males. Because I didn't have brothers and I went to a girls' high school.
Yeah.
I did have an uncle, but unfortunately they lived away at the time. They weren't in Sydney. So, even though I had a good relationship with him, it was sort of distant. Yeah, so I think there was some learning for me to do just in, just in sort of relating to males, just as, people.
No, makes sense.
Yeah.
And so how did your, like not having a dad, how did that impact your future or your relationship with God? Like,
yeah, well, I became a Christian after a divorce.
yeah.
So I married in my early 20s and the marriage wasn't very successful.
Which, to be honest, I'm thankful for, because otherwise I wouldn't be here. So,
yeah, there you go. All things work together for good. So through that, after the divorce, that's sort of when I became a Christian. Sorry, what was the question?
No, that's fine. I was just asking, how did it impact your understanding of God?
Yes, yeah. So becoming a Christian, I was hungry for that. I think I was at a place where I needed it because my life. So your father will back me up on this one. I'm a control freak. And so like life was in control and whatever, and then through a divorce, like everything just goes to custard, and like all your, your friendships can alter. Like it can be quite a lonely place to be. So in that respect, it was difficult. So, I was kind of at the end of myself. So it was a great place, to meet God and become a Christian. And so that was, fantastic. And in terms of accepting Jesus, and that was all fine. But the whole God the Father thing was probably more of an issue for me.
Yeah. So you're like Jesus' best mate, saviour. That was easy.
The brother I never had.
Yeah. But God as a father figure.
Yeah, because I had nothing to base it. Like I think a lot of people, and I've heard people say that, like they have a negative view of God, but that's because they're relating that. If they have a negative relationship with their earthly father, whereas I didn't have one that I could remember at all. So it was really hard. Excuse me. What does God, how does that work? What does God the Father look like? Yeah.
So how did you, so obviously at a certain point, because obviously you're talking about it now, you obviously came to understand that was impacting you.
Yeah.
Like how did you come to realise that?
I'm not sure I can think of like, a specific point. It was probably more an ongoing thing, and different circumstances, and like I remember hearing some teaching at a church camp about fathers and what they impart into their children, which is like security and identity, and so obviously I had some issues there, like insecurity's been huge for me. So that was something I needed to work through. And then other situations I just sort of bump up against. I had no choice but to sort of self-reflect, I guess, and try and look at that and work through it to some extent. So just that whole journey of finding my identity in God and coming to know myself as His daughter and believing what He says about me and who I am, and all that stuff was really freeing and healing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Because I find it interesting, because like we were kind of saying about earlier, like you can be a Christian your whole life, but that doesn't mean, that doesn't mean that some of that stuff is easy, like until you kind of do the work and figure it out. And I remember you were telling me the other day about some of the kind of like you would do particular things to kind of try and rewire that way that you saw yourself. Is that
Yeah.
right?
Well, I guess it's that verse, isn't it, about being transformed by the renewing of your mind.
Yeah.
So I tried to do that practically, and I knew, I knew it would be an ongoing process. Like it wasn't just going to be like a quick fix.
Shame, but
Yeah. So then I had to sort of, I guess, train myself in a way to sort of stand when the doubts came. And yeah, so like one practical thing I did was I just put together a scrapbook. And in that scrapbook were all sort of affirmations and things God said about me, even like a card, you know, that someone had written me of, you know, that addressed who I was and, you know, my identity and that sort of thing. I had Bible verses. I had a list, what I called depression busters.
Yeah.
And I used to like just read them out aloud. Yeah, so that's just a practical way, I suppose, of just equipping myself for when those doubts come and training my mind on the truth, which is what God says about me. Yeah.
And so like then, like, because obviously the lack of a relationship with your dad like impacted how you saw God, but how did you come to, I don't know, do you feel like you have closure with your dad? Like, do you
So like with my earthly...
Yeah, with your earthly dad, like how did you come to resolve those feelings? Because it didn't just impact you how you saw God, it just impacted you as a person.
Yeah.
How did you come to kind of unpack and deal with some
well,
of that stuff?
it's at some stage actually sat down and wrote to my father.
Yeah.
And like I
I
posted it.
Yeah.
Well, you guys would have been born, I think, so I would have been in my 30s.
Had you seen him at all since 8 to 30s?
Oh, just, I think, randomly on the streets of Sydney.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah,
But you never had a meeting with him.
No.
He never come to see you. Or,
No.
So yeah.
But yeah, I sent a letter. For me, it was a letter of closure. Like, I don't know if he got it. I don't know how he felt about it. But it was sort of like, it was more or less saying that I didn't hold anything against him. You know? Yeah. So yeah, that was closure for me. Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome, Mum.
Yeah.
You're very brave. Would you like to see him?
It's not a huge, you know. He might not be alive.
True.
Because if he is, he's 91. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean that's not important for me. Yeah, and also, you know, I'm mindful of my mum, and I wouldn't want to dishonour her in that either. So, yeah, it's not a regret or anything like that. Yeah, it's what it was, and like, you know, God's completely, you know, and more filled that gap. So it's not something I need to, no, I think I feel good about that. I don't have to, no, it's not, it won't, like, you know, if I get run over by a bus this afternoon, it won't be a regret.
Certainly hope not.
It won't be a regret, so, no.
That's cool. So how did, like, obviously you were working this stuff out. Were there particular decisions you made as you and Dad became parents of such beautiful children?
Such modest children.
Yeah, exactly. So much humility. That's obviously something in my family of origin. Were there things that you just decided that you would do differently? Like,
well, I think every parent wants to, you know, you said about the going on the shoulders of the ones before, and it's well, I can't speak for every parent, can I? Can only speak for myself.
You can speak for yourself.
But I would imagine that, you know, most parents would want to, you know, have the best for their children and have better for their children than what they had. So whether that was like a conscious thing or a subconscious thing, I don't really know. Yeah. Like, I don't know if Dad and I sat down and said,
No.
this is how we want it to look, or whether we figured it out as we went along.
Oh, well, I was the first kid, so maybe I was
I
the
know,
test.
I do feel sorry for you. I think, yeah, the first kid gets it a bit harder.
There you go. To my sister Lauren, if you're watching,
Public apology.
yeah, you can hear it right there. Well, Mum, what would you say, like, because why you're one of my heroes is because I look at, like, I used to find it crazy. Like, I saw you and Dad as like who you are today, and then you'd tell me all this stuff, and you'd be like, oh yeah, oh Dylan, you're probably at that age where I should tell you I had a divorce. Do you know what I mean? And I remember being with my dad and being at the Auckland airport, and we went into the urinal and we were just having a wee, and he's like, this is where I got saved. And I was like, what? Like I remember all these things about you telling me about your past, and part of it is because you can't imagine your parents be people. like it's very strange.
Or young people.
But part of it I think is amazing is like you did have a divorce, and there is a history of that in your family. And that could have happened again. Do you know what I mean? And there are different things, like you didn't have a dad, so that could have been different, but I feel like you made choices to be like who I needed you to be as a mum, which I think is amazing. So thank you for that.
Well, it's the God factor, I think, because I made really lousy choices, as a teenager and in my early 20s.
Yeah.
So I think the choices got better after I became a Christian.
Well, that's good. So, Mum, I think you're awesome.
Oh.
Thank you for doing this. So I guess my question is, what advice would you have for others to be able to, stop, reflect on the past, and then do something with what they discover?
I think it's worthwhile. I think it's a healthy thing to revisit your past, not, for the sake of camping there. I like that Nicky Gumbel quote where he says, don't judge people by their past because they might not necessarily live there anymore.
Yeah, that's cool.
Which I think is really positive. But it's helpful to know, because we have learned behaviours. We're all affected by our family of origin. We have patterns to life. And I think if we want to make changes, we need to go back to revisit that, to figure out, why we do stuff we do, why we respond like emotionally to things. So I think it's a healthy thing to be able to do.
And what advice would you give on, do you think, how to do that?
Well, there's courses available. I think the Rock's going.
Yeah, we're doing
be
one
offering.
soon. Yeah.
They will sign up for that. And also, get good people around you. Like my pastors were really supportive of my journey as well. I think, avail yourself of what's around and be prepared to go there. It's hard, but it's worth it.
It's awesome.
Absolutely.
One of the things you said to me, Mum, and I think it was something someone in your life said to you at that point when you needed it, I think you were saying the other day, is, it's great to figure it out, but then you have to walk the walk. Do you mean, like, once you figure out your stuff or your crap, you've got to do something with it.
Yeah.
But I am so thankful that you did figure stuff out, because of that, it's like, as a kid you get to start a race, but you get to start 100 metres further forward. And that's, because of you and Dad and the choices that you've made. So I appreciate you making those.
Yeah, well, that's cool
harder
for
choices.
us, so to to see you 100 metres ahead. So
yeah, well, he's hoping. So that's awesome. So thank you, Mum, for being a part of this conversation. I'm sure everyone at home has really appreciated it, and I know I've really appreciated it. And we're chatting today, but we got to chat the other day, and which was a bit more of the unedited tears edition. But it was just really great to be able to chat and about like what I've been unpacking and what, you know, some of your story. And so that's another thing I really encourage you, for those who are watching at home, to, you know, if you're lucky enough to have your parents still here with you, to make some time to speak to them. But a big question to think about today is about, you know, what is the past impact on the future in your life? You know, what are you picking up from your school experience or your family of origin or any of those things? It's a great opportunity today, you know, even if just for 5 minutes, to stop and go, where is some of this stuff, and to talk to your family and get to understand, because often I think the more, Mum, I get to understand some of your story, sometimes it helps me understand my story as well,
Yeah,
which I
of
think
course,
is
yeah.
really powerful. So thank you, Mum, and back to you guys.
The reign of darkness now is ended, in the kingdom of light, in the kingdom of light. Forever under your dominion, you're the king of my life, you're the king of my life. You reign, and you reign above it all, you reign above it all. Over the universe and over every heart, there is no higher name. Jesus, you reign above it all. And on the cross the work was finished. God, you poured out your life just to give us new life. Now from the lips of the forgiven, hear an anthem arise, 'cause Jesus, you're alive. Oh yes, you are. You reign above it all, you reign above it all. Over the universe and over every heart, there is no higher name. Jesus, you reign above it all. Let all of heaven and the earth erupt in song. Say hallelujah to the everlasting one. There is no higher name. Jesus, you reign above it all. Ooh, you reign above all. And you sent the darkness running out of an empty grave. Now seated alone in glory, enthroned on the highest praise. You sent the darkness running
Well, thank you so much, Dylan and Di. Wasn't that such a good conversation? So, thank you so much for being so vulnerable as well. It was really, really good. Thank you so much. And I know there was a bunch of really nice comments coming through as well. So thanks, guys. And I'm so encouraged to think about and to sit down with my parents and have a conversation with them and just figure out, I guess, a little bit of their past and how that has affected my future. And I think there'd probably be some pretty interesting stories there. So make sure that you do that too if you're able to. Either sit down with your parents or I don't know, with siblings, and just have a conversation about the past. Or even just have a think about it by yourself and just think about how that has affected your future and how it can affect your future. So make sure you do that. I'm really encouraged. That was awesome. Thank you so much. And I want to say a big thank you to Charlotte. I think everyone should just send her some encouragement in the comments because she has been editing the conversations for us and she's done such a good job. So thank you so much, Charlotte. You are wonderful. We appreciate all your hard work, the hours that you've spent doing that. So thank you. All right. Well, I'm going to pray and then I guess we are going to finish up. So, Father, we thank you for today. We thank you for that wonderful, awesome conversation, Lord. And I just pray that we'll carry that through our week, God, and that we'll have that we'll have conversations with our parents and with our family, and that we'll I guess just think back on our past and how that's going to affect our future, God. And I pray that that we will include you in those conversations and that we would just, I guess, strive to get closer to you this week, God. So we thank you, we love you, in Jesus' name, amen. All right, so that's it for this week, guys. But we will see you next week here in the building at The Rock. So don't forget, it's not online, it's here at The Rock. And don't forget as well to sign up for EHS if you'd like to do that. So you've got this week still to register. So make sure you do that. All right, see you next week. Bye.